All right, folks, I'm Tom Downey. That is Harris Rubenstein. Again, if you want your comments featured live on the broadcast, use that super chat, and we'll bring them up on screen and discuss them.
Tom, did I just realize?
What?
Over the past 2 years, the Lakers on 2 separate one-year deals have paid Kentavious Caldwell-Pope $31 million.
Got the space.
That is a horrifying amount of money to give to Kentavious Caldwell.
You need to get over KCP. We'll take it out to some more Wizards talk. This one seems much less likely now that they have brought in Dwight Howard. This was the report earlier today that the Wizards have interest in adding Jamal Crawford. I think with Howard and Jeff Green now on the roster, plus they did trade for Austin Rivers as well, I don't think it makes quite as much sense as it did maybe on July 1st itself.
It never really made a ton of sense for me in the first place. I mean, I would like Jamal Crawford to go somewhere that actually has a shot of winning an NBA title. If you're Jamal Crawford, why would you go to the Wizards? Wouldn't you just wait it out? Yeah, just wait until August, and someone will pick you up on the veteran minimum. Maybe the Sixers. Well, the Sixers have way too many guards, but maybe the Celtics could pick you up after they figure out everything going on with Marcus Smart. The Warriors could still I don't think the Warriors actually have space anymore on their entire team to actually pick him up. So it never really made a lot of sense to me in the first place. I mean, what does Jamal Crawford really bring you if you're trying to, push Troy Brown, push Kelly Oubre Jr.? It never made a lot of sense.
Rivers as well.
I guess.
All right.
What are the Wizards doing?
Time for one of the more curious rumors I think we're going to hear all offseason. Could Tony Parker leave the Spurs?
I think it's time. I think it'd be fine.
This was a report from a French site. I hope I get the pronunciation right.
You're not.
L'Equipe. Hopefully I got that right. Okay. That's it's spelled equip with an
I know,
E
but
at the end,
I
so
don't know if the French
I'm not good
use
with
quip.
I'm not good with French.
I don't know if French people use quips, but anyway,
the report was that the Nuggets and Hornets could have interest, and Parker says yes, he wants to stay in San Antonio, but it's a business. If the Spurs say no, he still wants to play.
It wouldn't surprise me if he didn't come back next year. The Spurs have many point guards.
Look, the entire bench is guards.
Patty Mills, Dejounte Murray, Lonnie Walker, Derek Wright. They have 4 point guards on this roster already. You're going to bring back an old Tony Parker? Again, like another roster decision that doesn't make a ton of sense. It might be time to move on.
What are they doing?
The Hornets.
Why would you go bring in Tony Parker? To be a vet mentor for Malik Monk?
Maybe to be yes. Maybe.
Yes?
Actually, I don't actually understand why Tony Parker would go to the Hornets.
Because someone wants to play for him.
Do you know what? Mitch Kupchak is back with the Hornets. I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt for a year and a half before I start criticizing the Hornets again.
Mitch Kupchak lost it because he loves Timothy Mozgov more than anyone in the world, and I don't understand it.
It's like an expiring contract for the Hornets.
Find someone that loves you like Mitch Kupchak loves Timothy Mozgov.
That's fair.
All right, there's the Nuggets lineup here, another team that was linked to Tony Parker from that report.
I don't hate this.
I actually see the intrigue with this one because I like Gary Harris. Will Barton's going to play shooting guard / small forward. You could use one more vet at point guard. Again, you know how I feel about Denver. I like them a lot. It's a fun lineup there.
It is a fun lineup.
It's a decent bench.
And remember,
elite,
the Nuggets, if my memory serves correctly, had Devin Harris last year as their backup kind of old point guard. They had Andre Miller a couple years ago, so they went from Andre Miller to Devin Harris, and now to Tony Parker. So they're just shuffling through aging point guards in the NBA. It'll be all right, but I think Parker on the Nuggets would be a good fit.
All right, we'll take it to our next rumor here. We'll head to the Minnesota Timberwolves. Give me a second here to get this pronunciation correctly here. Nemanja Bjelica, and that is how you pronounce it correctly. Now, it's okay if we butcher it because Bjelica himself has said, you know what, no one gets it right. It's okay.
Nah, it's fine. He probably doesn't even get his own name right. So, like, I still just – do you know what the funniest part about this whole story is? Is that the Timberwolves – cut him to make space for Anthony Tolliver. Now, whether or not Anthony Tolliver is better than our friend here whose name we can't pronounce, that's fine.
Bjelica.
But it needs to be pointed out that the Timberwolves were able to sign Anthony Tolliver over the Los Angeles Clippers, who flew to his house to try to sign him onto the Clippers, and they still weren't able to do it. That is the best part of this entire story, not that the T-Wolves ended up cutting one center for another aging big guy. I still can't believe that the Clippers didn't get him.
It's the Timberwolves roster. We'll get to some more in depth here as well, but it gets more and more confusing for me as we go along because it's just kind of a weirdly built roster. I don't think they're built to win right now enough, and that's a big concern there. But, folks, we do want to remind everyone here, We're not just playing the Twitter challenge for me. We're also trying to get more subscribers here to Chat Sports. We're at 46,475. We're getting closer and closer to 500 or 50,000. Not this hard.
So close.
Yeah. Hit that subscribe button, folks. Have all the coverage you want. NBA, if you're an NFL fan, we got that. College basketball, we'll do MLB stuff as well.
Oh, yeah.
All the sports coverage you want, all in one spot. Hit that subscribe. Already have added 40 since we just went live, so thank you guys. We really do appreciate
Love it.
On to some more Minnesota discussion, and there's some reports from the Chicago Sun-Times that Jimmy Butler is not a happy camper right now, and that Butler does not plan and has no intentions of signing an extension with Minnesota because he is fed up with the nonchalant attitude of his younger teammates, specifically Karl-Anthony Towns.
Now, credit, this isn't the only young teammate that Jimmy Butler has had some qualms with already. He had a lot of issues with Andrew Wiggins as well, but I just don't think he can say anything too publicly because Wiggins just got that outrageous max contract. So now who does his focus go to? The one rookie on the team that hasn't gotten his max extension yet, and that's Karl-Anthony Towns. Though it needs to be pointed out that Jimmy Butler's agent has already responded to this report, and I have his quote right in front of me. He says, quote, if he has something to say, talking about Jimmy Butler to someone, he says it without hesitation, and everybody involved knows this. So I say that to say, if he had an opinion to share about anyone or anything in particular, they would know, and they wouldn't have to read about it. Basically, if Butler had something to say to Karl-Anthony Towns, you wouldn't be hearing it through the grapevine. Butler would come out and say it himself, which, mind you, makes a lot of sense because Jimmy Butler did this throughout his entire time with the Chicago Bulls. He constantly called people out if he thought that they were just slacking off.
It's not really a denial, though.
No, it's not a denial at all.
It almost sounds like maybe Butler has communicated this to Cat.
But this isn't new. We already knew that Jimmy Butler was annoyed with how just lackadaisical this team was. He said this all last season. He said that they needed bulldogs and they needed fighters and they needed to grind through stuff. He yelled at Karl-Anthony Towns over his defense for 8 months. This isn't anything new. So when this report came out today, it wasn't that surprising. Butler has always been angry. The biggest surprise is the fact that he won't sign an extension. I think that's a load of bull. And I say bull, get it, bull, the Bulls, Tim. No, the real reason, look, Jimmy Butler I don't think is going, my puns are great. I don't think that Jimmy Butler is going to leave Tom Thibodeau. I know that we also had the report today that Jimmy Butler and Kyrie Irving, we're going to get to that in a little bit. We hear the report that Jimmy Butler and Kyrie Irving want to team up, but I just don't see Jimmy Butler leaving the Timberwolves if Tom Thibodeau is still there. And I don't think that Karl-Anthony Towns is what's going to keep Jimmy Butler from signing a massive extension with the Timberwolves. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me.
We had this weigh-in up here, and I'm very curious what the votes are, 1 versus 2. I guess, a relatively even split here. For me, it's pretty easy. The answer is Karl-Anthony Towns. He's 22 years old.
He is 22 years old.
Give me Karl-Anthony Towns in 3 years when he is, or 4 years, let's say 4 years. He's 25, 26, and he's in the midst of his prime as a big man, and you've got some of the pieces you could build around when Jimmy Butler at that point is 34, 33.
My one issue with Towns, and if we're talking about who do you want to build around, Towns, because of his age, obviously makes a lot of sense, but, I mean, this is now the second consecutive season where Towns has been accused of being lackadaisical on defense. This is the second year in a row where he's had issues with effort as well on both ends of the court, and this is with Tom Thibodeau as his head coach. So it's not like Karl-Anthony Towns isn't getting plenty of opportunities to improve with starting minutes. Tom Thibodeau plays his starters for too many minutes in the first place. So we can't even blame lack of experience for Towns. I think at this point, it might just be who Karl-Anthony Towns is. Now, again, he is 22, so he has a long way to go ahead of him, but centers with defensive and effort issues, I said this during the draft, my least favorite thing. I'm getting lower and lower on Karl-Anthony Towns by the month.
All right, so we got that other report that you kind of hinted at was from the same Chicago Sun-Times article that Butler wants to play with Kyrie. Now, that's not the first time we've heard this. We heard it last year as well, and even the year before that when Butler was first traded, that those two want to team up.
They're buddies.
They're buddies. They're friends. They put together on the USA team. They want to play together. Now, the issue is that's easier said than done. The report is that the two players are trying to find a way to get together. You have the reports that Kyrie is not going to sign an extension this offseason, which makes sense for him to not do that. You can get more money. It gives him more flexibility as well. There are some routes, though, in which Jimmy Butler could find his way to pair up with Kyrie Irving. We'll get to one in a second with the Celtics in particular, but there is one that I want to make note here potentially of the New York Knicks. And this comes solely through free agency. Now, this is 2019, and we have the max space listed at $70 million. That requires, you announce all of their free agents.
Which they plan to do, by the way. They plan on having so much space for next summer.
It requires a stretching of Noah once this year starts to kind of space out about $6 million plus the 18 going forward. It requires a trade of Courtney Lee, maybe a potential move of Lance Thomas as well, so some other potential moves there, and then trying to do some fun stuff with Kristaps to save the initial massive increase in his cap there. But it is possible. And again, we're playing 2019 salary cap space, and we know how that's worked out for the Lakers in the years before this year, or the Knicks for several years in a row. But it is possible that the Knicks could get Butler and Kyrie, and there was the report earlier this offseason that Kyrie likes the Knicks.
Yes and no. There was a report that Kyrie Irving was interested in the Knicks and that was one of the teams on his trade list when he initially left the Cavs. But look, I think people kind of freak out too much about the Kyrie Irving not signing an extension this offseason. A, from a financial standpoint, it makes absolutely no sense. And B, I think that Kyrie Irving just wants to wait to see how good this team is when it's healthy before he commits to a long term. Because what happens if this team is entirely healthy and they go into next season and the chemistry just isn't there and the team doesn't work? I don't think that's going to happen, but I credit Kyrie Irving for waiting.
All right, we're going to get into some more trade possibilities for Jimmy Butler and Karl-Anthony Towns, like I saw in the comments section. So don't go anywhere, but first, a very quick message.
What's going on, you guys? Jordan Giorgio here from Chat Sports. While Harris and Tom are taking a quick break, I'm here to tell you to head on over to Instagram and click that follow button at Jordan Giorgio and send me any questions you have on all the latest NBA rumors or free agency news. So we'll talk soon. Back to NBA Weekly.